not making you do that. The end of flexing thing for 8-1. All right. 8-2. Same concept, but it's law of cosines. So let's go back and think from law of sines. We used it with angle, angle, side, and side, angle, side. Angle, side, angle. And then, what was it? The irate customer. Side, side, angle, but in reverse. That was law of sines. Okay, so look at this slide right here. If you want to take your highlighter and highlight this info, it will help you to remember when to use which one. The law of sines is used to solve triangles given a side and two angles, whether it's angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. And then if you have the irate customer, right? Those are the scenarios we practiced. You with me? Today, we're going to look at law of cosines, which has to be used. I'm changing highlighters because it's a different scenario. Law of cosines is needed to solve triangles when you have two sides and the angle in between, or all three sides. So, I'm going to go back to the first slide and write this, and I want you to put it on your cover, like on your first slide. So, sines, we're going to put a chart, and then we've got cosines. Right? Law of sines is the one we just covered. That was angle, angle, side, angle, or I'm going to put an asterisk because it's technically the other direction. You know what I mean? It's the irate customer that's split into, and then I'm going to draw three little arrows to say like it goes into three possible scenarios. We've already done that. We covered it. We practiced it. Today, we're doing law of cosines, which is these two scenarios. You're going to have to know when to use which one. I would not sit there and try to memorize all 5, because I think that could set you up for confusion. The way that I remember it is I go from law of cosines, because it's only 2 scenarios, and it's the 2 with the most S's, except, of course, the irate customer, which was the first thing we did, and that's law of sines. So that's already kind of in my memory, like the very first thing we did involved sine, and that had the irate customer. That took us 4 days to cover. So I remember that one's over there, but the other 2, SAS and side, are law of cosines. So I just memorize this right here, and then that lets me know anything else is law of sines. What happens if you forget it? When you go to try to set it up with the wrong one, you won't be able to solve it because you'll have too many unknowns. So that's your red flag, like, wait, hey, you're on the wrong route. So it's not like you're going to necessarily run with it with the wrong one. You can't go anywhere with the wrong one. So it's just helpful to know in advance which way to go so you don't have that hit the brakes moment. Okay. Come back to this slide right here. You will notice with law of cosines, here are the 3 formulas. Notice that every single one of them involves solving for a side. Every one of them involves solving for a missing side. There will be a couple of problems where you have to use law of cosines to solve for a missing angle. And I would not recommend trying to go from this formula up here, because then it's going to be a mess. So I have already rearranged it, shifted everything using inverse operations, and solved all three of them for the missing angle for you. Okay? Yes. You just have to know the difference between the two. These are the exact same formulas. It's just the top ones are when you're solving for the missing side using law of cosines. The bottom ones are when you need to find a missing angle using law of cosines. And then all you would have to do is hit second, like in this example right here. Probably hard to see what I'm looking at. In this example right here, you plug everything in and you would just hit second cosine of that crap and get your answer. You wouldn't have to come up here, plug everything in, subtract this, divide by negative 2bc, and then second. You wouldn't have to do that. I've already done it for you. See? See how it's already over here? You're welcome. Moana. Welcome. So let's label it though. So this is when you're solving for a side. All of this is when you're solving for an angle. Okay? Now let's dive right into the problems. Oh, and the beautiful thing is there's no ambiguous case. Like, it's not. It's everything has an answer, whether it's one answer or you get an error and it's no solution. That's it. There's no like, ooh, could there be a second case? No, not here. That's only with law of sines when it's an irate customer. Okay? Alright, so let's practice. Copy the formulas for missing side to this slide. Here's an example of a side angle side problem, and your picture is already drawn for you. Okay, so let's look at what we've got. We have this angle right here. I'm just drawing an arc so I know that that angle's given. We have these two sides here. You would look at this problem and you would say to yourself, I have a side, an angle, and then another side, and that would tell me I'm going law of cosines here. Okay? So this is which it's already labeled right here, so if you want to highlight it or box it in. So if you need to, go make your little chart. We've got angle A, angle B, angle C. This is going to get crowded, so I probably should change my width of my pen. Okay, angle A, angle B, angle C. Side A, B, C. What do I already know? I already know angle C. How do you know what side you already have? You go to the angle opposite of it that's like opening up to form it. I know side B is 71, and I know side A is 32. This is also another way to know you're not using law of sines because there's no anchor chart or no anchor fraction. You notice that? If you do your little chart, you don't have that anchor fraction glaring right at you. So that's another way to know it's law of cosines. So I went to solve for side C first because I know if you look at the formulas, look at this right here. Whatever side you're solving for, you have to know the angle that forms it. If you look at the formula, if I'm solving for C, I have to have angle C. So that's where I know, looking at my chart, okay, I'm going for side C first because I know angle C. So if you need to write that somewhere, whatever side you're solving for, you must know its angle in order to be able to plug it in and solve. Alright, so we're going to find C. So it's C squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine angle C. Plug everything in. Little a is 32. Little b. Oh, I don't know why that's right. Go to your calculator, type all that in. I think I did. I did, yeah. I went to the nearest tenth on all of them. Remember, make sure you're in degree mode. Type it all in and leave it there. So c squared is approximately 2,245.5. Here's where a lot of people make mistakes. And I remember this from years past. A lot of people think you're done here. You're not done, because that's not c, that's c squared. So we have to undo the square in order to get the value of c. So that means you're going to square root it, which is why you want to leave it in the calculator, so now you can just hit second square root, and then you can either go up there and pull the answer, or let me show you a shortcut. It's second, the little negative sign says ANS, that means previous answer, and it will take the square root of it. If you forget to take the square root, when you go to fill in your chart, something should stick out when you start writing that C is 2,245 and A and B are only 32 and 71. So the numbers should be so massive that it feels weird to say this is the value for that side. You should be like, wait a minute, I've got to square root that. That's too big. It's about to cut off. All right, now what we've got to do is find one of the missing angles. And the good news is, once you find one of them, you can find the last remaining angle by simply doing 180 minus the two you have. So we just have one more formula that we have to use. When you go to look at your formula sheet, you're going to want to go back to the previous slide for the formulas with the angles when it's by itself. I went to find angle A, no particular reason. It doesn't matter which one you go for because you have all the info you need. And I have no room, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put find angle A. So I would go to my formula for the cosine of angle A. I'm going to copy it down, and I'm probably going to run out of room. Sorry, I'm writing small. So I'm going to plug ABC into that formula. The previous slide. So we got 71. Okay, so a couple ways to go about it from here. One, you need to put it on paper, plug everything in. Now we've got to go to our calculator. The idea is we need the measure of angle A. That means this cosine right here actually has to move to the other side by its inverse, right? So when we go to type this in the calculator, there's two ways to do it. You could type the whole fraction in and just go ahead and get the ugly decimal and leave it in there. Or you could go ahead and hit second cosine of the ugly fraction and get your answer. But in the calculator, angle A is going to be the cosine inverse of that mess. I'm going to put a squiggly here because I have completely run out of room. But that squiggly is the exact fraction that is right up above it. Okay? So I'm going to hit second cosine, and then now I'm going to type that hideous fraction. If I had to guess where most people get things wrong here, it's because there's so many things to type in the calculator. It's a lot of times it comes from typos. Which is why it's helpful to have that on your paper, because if you got it wrong in the My Math Lab test, but that's on your paper, then you'll get full credit. I'll go in and honor it. It means you typed something in your calculator wrong. So angle A is 21 point, I went to the nearest 10, 21.5. And once you have that angle, the third angle by default would be 180 minus the other two angles. And so what would that be? 180 minus 21.5 minus 32.8.
25.7.
Yeah. One what?
25.7.
Bless you. If you do this and you come to an error in your calculator, it means no solution. Which is going to happen, I think, 2 times in your My Math Lab homework for 8-2. And it's because the fraction is more than 1. Cosine is the same way as sine. It can't be more than 1. So when I say this, it's because I'm going to lose you in 3 minutes because of this lovely tardy party. That is 8-2. So those of you I'm losing Monday and Tuesday because of work, there's nothing extra. Like, that's it. Well, all we're going to do is keep practicing it. I'm actually going to go ahead and give you the answers for the remaining. I'll put them on the video so you don't have to write them down right now. But that way, as you practice through the notes, you'll know if you got them right. On Monday, I plan to just come back and keep going through it, but I just wanted you to know that you're not missing anything new. It's just us going to another law of cosine problem. Okay?